Hey there and welcome back. Jason here, and I have a plant to share with you today. This is called Hoya. Hoya is one of my favorite types of indoor house plants. Once upon a time, Hoya obovata, which is this plant right here, I was asked by a friend, like if you could only keep one of your plants, which one would it be? Nowadays I really just don't know which one it would be. I love so many of my plants. I want to take them all, or a lot of them. But Hoya obovata is the plant that came to mind, and one of the reasons is I actually have shared this plant a lot. It would be a lot bigger if I didn't propagate it so much, but I have. But this plant has these lovely green leaves with these speckles on them, and they're thick and leathery. It's just a super tough plant. You can propagate this easy from cuttings, super easy. All of these Hoyas, they're just very, very tough plants. It's a tough genus. And so I think that's why. I remember at one point I had propagated Hoya obovata and given little plants to my grandparents, and it just brought so much joy to them, to see something thrive where they were living, where other plants were maybe not thriving so much. The Hoya obovata thrived, which is pretty cool. I love reliable, tough plants, and Hoya is definitely that. Just make sure you don't overwater Hoya, just like with a lot of your other houseplants. That can lead to fungal issues. But for the most part, they're super tough. When you water them, give the plant a lift so that you know what the saturated soil feels like. So when you come back, you'll know how much of the water it's absorbed. You want your plant to have absorbed 80 to 100% of the water before you water it again. So you can even let these dry out completely before you water them again. And they're really tough. They won't as soon as they've absorbed the water, they're not going to die. They're going to hang on for a while because they store a lot of water in their leaves. These are the succulent for indoors that that you can keep inside your house or office space or bedroom. Really awesome plants. This right here is, as you can see, these Hoyas can vary a lot from one to another. This is Hoya retusa, and this has more grassy leaves. And as these grow out, you can either keep them pruned into more like a ball, or you can let it cascade downwards if you plant this in a hanging container. They're pretty awesome. A lot of Hoyas, that's pretty much, you have a lot of options with them. You can stake them and have them grow more columnar and vertical, which is great for filling in spaces of your house. You're not really sure what to put there. You can put a Hoya. You can also hang these in baskets in your house. Pretty cool plant. If you're looking at this one and wondering that's not a Hoya, you're correct, it's not a Hoya. This plant that I'm touching right here, this is Pepperoni Rotundifolia. I just happened to have planted it here with this other Hoya because I thought it'd be kind of fun where I had placed it. But as you can see here, this is Hoya Macrophylla. It has beautiful leaves right here. They have different shades of green and white and pink in the leaves, and this type of Hoya actually thrives. All these Hoyas, for the most part, they want bright indirect light. In other words, maybe even some morning sun. They love lots of light indoors. So they are forgiving, but if you do place them in a spot in your home or office space where you don't get as much light, you're going to want to make sure that you water them a little bit less, because they're not going to use as much of the water in photosynthesis because they're in a darker spot in the room. They will absorb the water. You'll see it happen, and you're like, oh my. They love water, but make sure you allow the soil to dry out 80 to 100% in between waterings. As far as fertilization goes, you want to fertilize these once a month, spring to summer, with the houseplant fertilizer. Also, when you repot them, you want to use indoor plant potting soil, and you want to do that maybe once every 2 years. Hoya are really great pot bound or root bound. They live just fine like that. But if they're dragging your container down and the vine is crawling across the table, it might be time to repot your plant. As far as blooming, Hoya bloom spring to summer, and sometimes even in the fall or winter. It can be very sporadic based on where your Hoya is. They're fragrant flowers and they're a bit sappy, so if your plant is in bloom, it might be a good idea to just place it somewhere, maybe over a granite countertop or somewhere that you can easily clean the sap. As far as toxicity levels go, Hoya are considered a non-toxic plant, or in some cases, very, very low toxicity. So they're definitely a safer plant to be around. However, on the same note, I wouldn't recommend eating them, or I wouldn't recommend your cat or dog eat them either, because it's an ornamental plant. It's not for eating. If your pet ate a lot of the leaves, they probably would get sick just because they ate a lot of a plant they're not supposed to eat. But this is ranked like very, very low on toxicity, which is pretty awesome, making it like a safer choice plant for the average pet owner. As far as these, this Hoya right here, this Hoya is Hoya carnosa tricolor. And as you can see, this has a lot more warmer tones in the leaves. We have some like yellows and chartreuse and green. Some of the leaves revert back to non-variegation. It's common and expected in variegated plants. It just adds more color to the variegation. You'll still get variegated leaves that come out, but just know that that's common. It's nothing bad is happening to your plant. It'll be okay. Right here, this is a cutting that I actually took from the Hoya Macrophylla variegata, and as I said, they propagate very easy. You can propagate Hoya Macrophylla and Hoya obovata easily in a glass of water in a bright window. Once your cutting has like 3 to 4 inch roots on it, I'd pot it up into like a 4-inch pot in some indoor plant potting soil and water it, and then just don't water it again until your plant starts absorbing water, because you also don't want to overwater your cuttings when you're really trying to get the roots to develop roots that will live better in the soil than just in a glass of water. But yeah, that being said, those propagate easy. Hoya caryi, you might want to propagate this. I haven't successfully propagated it, but you might want to propagate it with, so as you can, I don't know if you can actually see here, but this new stem that's coming up, as well as some of this lower stem, they have these tiny little aerial roots, which is really common in Hoya. All of your varieties will get that. If you have those in your cutting, they take a lot faster. In other words, they'll root much quicker if you have aerial roots already in the cutting. So if you're going to do propagate Hoya caryi, the heartleaf Hoya, you're going to want to take cuttings where you have little aerial roots. You might even want to use a rooting hormone and just use perlite, where you saturated it with water, and then put it in a closed clear plastic container. Hoya caryi is a really interesting one. So Hoya caryi, this lovely plant. A couple years ago, this was a much more difficult plant to find. Hoya caryi, though, these heart-shaped leaves, they are available and have been for quite some time, where you have just a single heart in a little pot. That will never grow into a plant. The only way that would even possibly happen is if the propagator accidentally nicked some of the stem tissue when they were propagating the plant. But for the most part, you just have a leaf and a petiole, which is what connects the leaf to the stem. The leaf and the petiole will only grow roots, and it'll just be a leaf forever in a little pot. So sorry, I didn't want to get anyone's hopes up that maybe has that plant, but if you do, at least you know now. And that the plant itself, where you have stem tissue and multiple hearts, it is more available these days at your local nursery. So I just give some of your local nurseries a call and see if they carry this plant, or if they can order it for you, because it is much more commercially available now as a plant than it used to be. But yeah, Hoya caryi, the heartleaf Hoya, pretty awesome, pretty loved plant, and not hard to see why. But yeah, so yeah, that's about it. These are all. Oh, when it comes to selecting a container, I just use a basic setup. I use a, you have your decorative container, and then sometimes if they're glazed on the inside, you don't need to put a saucer in, but I just do anyways because it's a nice backup in case like the pot ever cracked. But yeah, that catches the drainage, and yeah, for most Hoyas, I'd recommend growing them permanently once they've reached the size where you can put them in a 6-inch pot, which is a 6-inch container like this. And what's nice about that is, it's just an overall nicer size pot for like your counter space and whatnot. And in a 4-inch pot, you can keep them that way if you wanted to do root pruning. So at once every couple years, if you wanted to keep, say, your small Hoya in a smaller container, you could just keep the top trimmed and make sure that once every couple years that you repot it and that you prune away some of the roots at that time, and then repot it again into the small container, and you can keep them small for maybe your desk or office space, or even the nightstand next to your bed. Do make sure these plants get some light though, and then if they are in less light, that you water them less as well. I think I've pretty much covered everything. Oh no, I haven't. Hoya are also cam plants, and you're probably wondering, what is a cam plant? Cam plant, C-A-M, that is a type of plant that photosynthesizes in the evening as opposed to during the day. So a lot of plants, what they do is they absorb carbon dioxide during the day, and then they release oxygen during the day. That's what they make when they're photosynthesizing. Cam plants, what they do is their leaf stomata, which are like the pores in your skin, they're on the leaves themselves. And what they do is they're more closed during the day, and then in the evening they'll open, and then they'll photosynthesize and create oxygen in the room, while maybe a lot of your other plants are releasing small amounts of carbon dioxide and not photosynthesizing. These are creating oxygen while you sleep, making them awesome plants for the bedroom or that indoor office space at your house. So yeah, that's a pretty fun fact about them. They also are clean air plants. They absorb different VOCs. Those are volatile organic compounds. They remove some of those, they reduce them in the air. So really great plant for so many reasons. If you have any questions that maybe I didn't cover in this video, please let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed and you like updates on my newest videos, please let me know. Please click that subscribe button. And once again, my name is Jason. Thanks for hanging out.